Hey students, it's Emily Poole. Let's talk all about 16th century society and politics, especially in the wake of, the Protestant Reformation. Emily, what's that on your shirt? Oh, thanks for asking, students. This is my favorite painting of all time. This is Artemisia Gentileschi's Judith Beheading Holofernes, and it says, "Girls will be girls," on top of it, which I love so much, because we're going to talk about the shifting role of women today. Protestants argued that there is a priesthood of all believers, and then men in Europe were like, what? Their reading of the scripture, it is clear that Jesus valued and treated women quite well. So now men are like, do we have to do that too? What does this mean about women's roles? Can women be preachers? Can women now get educated? This debate about women is a theme that we will come back to over and over and over again in our study of European history. And honestly, across the world, it is still an argument or a debate today. But even despite the new Protestant focus on equality and the Protestant value of a nuclear family that should be rooted in love and complementary work, established hierarchies of gender and class and religion still remained the same across Europe from the 1400s to the 1600s. Even though early modern Europeans are challenging traditionally held sources of power in all of the different ways, these established social hierarchies are still pretty much the same. Land ownership determines wealth, and if you've had wealth for a long time, you probably still have wealth. While women in their work at the home actually starts getting viewed with more dignity, they are still denied access from education and political systems. And for the average European peasant, someone on that bottom rung of the social ladder, things are still pretty much the same. You live in a cute little town with all your friends. Your calendar is still based on the agricultural system or on specific holidays. You still engage in very communal leisure activities like Saints' Day activities like Carnival. But there is something that starts to change politically in these smaller towns. Now that the Catholic Church doesn't have the supreme authority that it did once have over Europe, local governments have to figure out how to regulate morality. Now that all of the people don't believe the same things or have the same methods of morality or follow the same canon of law, it's up to local governments to say, this is how we should behave. This is what we should do. They don't do a great job of it at first because it leads to just like a lot of rituals of public humiliation. Now, I'm sure your teacher would never do anything to publicly humiliate you in class, but if the threat of public humiliation or putting you in stocks or whipping you in public is what would happen if you didn't act a certain way, you're probably gonna stay in line. Could you imagine? How much better would you be behaved in class if you knew that your threat would be like to sit outside of the school early in the morning with your hands and your head in stocks so that people could laugh at you as they're walking by? This enforcement of communal norms was not only by new governmental leaders in these towns, it was also encouraged by the church. Any hoozles, let's end by talking about witchcraft. Pagan beliefs or traditional spiritual practices that go against what the Catholic Church had said existed in Europe for like all of its history. But due to the chaos caused by the Protestant Reformation in Europe, people start to really strongly believe that only Christian practices as a Protestant or as a Catholic are appropriate, and that any remnants of any old pagan rituals need to be expelled from the faith. And it is no coincidence, students, that this is happening during a time when women are fighting for more rights and when women are becoming more literate. Because who is often accused of witchcraft to students? A single woman who is not married, who could read and write. She was viewed as a threat to the spirituality and the morality of Europe. Y'all, if we look at this graph right here, what do we notice about where the trials mainly happened? In Protestant lands, in Germany and in Switzerland. And with more people reading the Bible, more people became aware of this paganism or this witchcraft that existed in the Old Testament and wanted to separate themselves from that. It is no wonder that witchcraft accusations peaked in Europe during this time of religious wars from the 1580s to the 1650s. That is all I will say about that, but please talk to your teacher more to have discussions in class because this is so riveting. If you're still confused about the upheaval that is happening in Europe as a result of these religious changes, check out my ultimate review packet because it will have so many helpful skills sheets and multiple choice questions and study guides to help you parse it all out. But as always, students, you can do it. I believe in you.